Hi, friends. Thanks for being with me today for Grace with Paul Gray. This week we've been looking at what's commonly called, and I believe incorrectly called, the parable of the prodigal son. And today we're going to continue with that, looking at how religious people look at that, how sinners, the dregs of society, the worst people, at least according to the sinners, would look at this passage, and how God sees things. We're looking at facts, which are the way things appear to be, and truth, which is the way things really are according to God. Now, you all know the story. The younger of two sons totally disrespects his father, takes his inheritance early, wastes it in a foreign land, a place that's repugnant to the Jews, ends up feeding pigs and is covered with pig poop and mud, and returns to his dad hoping to be a hired hand. All of this is absolutely abhorrent and unclean to the proud religious law keepers. That's what they see the facts are. Then the father welcomes the boy home, doesn't even address his shortcomings, forgives him unconditionally, accepts and includes him without conditions, gives him unquestioned and unconditional love and grace, covering everything in their relationship, acts as if he'd never gone, except he throws a party in celebration of the boy coming home. The sinners who are listening, and I use that word because that's the term the Bible uses, are society's rejects, and at the same time they are religion's damned and ridiculed. The sinners are blown away at the Father's love and grace, and they're desperately hoping that God could treat them the same way. But the boy and the father's actions each totally freaked out the proud religious law keepers. They couldn't tolerate the broken rules or the disrespect or the unconditional love and grace. Now today we're going to look at one last character, the older brother. Verse 25. Now the older son, who we'll see was a Pharisee, a proud religious law keeper, was out in the field. When he came in and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. And he summoned one of the servants and began inquiring what these things could be. The servant said, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he's received him back safe and sound." And the word "received" there in the original language gives that connotates shalom or peace or assurance of acceptance. Well, the older brother became angry and wasn't willing to go into the party. How would the religious law keepers who are hearing this story, how would they see that? They'd be right there with that boy refusing to go in. How would the sinners who are listening see that boy's rejection of his brother? I believe they'd go, well, that's par for religion, isn't it? How did the Father see that? Well, he, God, showed that he's not about rules or regulations or punishment or retribution or payback. He's about restoring relationships, which he did totally with the wayward boy. His father came out and began pleading with the older boy. But the boy said, the father said, "Come on, man, come in, join the party." But the older boy said to his father, "Look, for so many years I've been serving you, and I've never neglected a command of yours, and yet you have never given me even a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your wealth with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him." What's that boy, who's a Pharisee, a proud religious law keeper, what's he seeing? He's seeing the whole thing from a fact basis, seeing the facts through the lens of destructive religion. He sees the Father, God, as strict, or at least he thought that his Father, God, was strict, harsh, insistent on rule keeping, was a real killjoy, a God who was always watching critically and who has to be appeased. And he thought he'd done everything right, so he deserved blessings. That's the lens which he sees what he thinks are the facts. When the Father, God, turns out to be just the opposite, not interested in rules and regulations, but totally being into restoring relationships with unconditional love and grace and acceptance and inclusion, the boy, the Pharisee boy, gets mad at God and refuses to participate in the relationship, either with God or with the restored sinner, if you want to use those terms. The facts say that the older boy totally disrespects his father, which is also punishable by stoning to death, was in that time and day in their society. And he accuses his father as not being fair. So then, how does the father, God, see this disrespectful son, who's obviously been in the same house with God all his life, but who doesn't know him, doesn't know what he's really like? He shares destructive religion's view that God should be angry, punitive, unforgiving, and should shame and exclude those who break the rules. How does the father see this boy now? Father said to him, "Son, you've always been with me. All that's mine is yours. We had to celebrate and rejoice, for this brother of yours was dead and has begun to live. He was lost, and now he's been found." All right, tomorrow we're going to spend one more day with this, but I've got some homework for those of you who would like to really get something out of this. Take some time and think about how the sinners who heard that whole story, how they would see what's happening. Then think about how the proud religious law keepers, including, especially the older brother, how do they see what's going on? Then put yourself in God's shoes. How does God the Father, how does Jesus see the whole situation? And ask yourself, which one of those views do you honestly have? Tune in tomorrow, and we'll see how this applies to us. Thanks for listening, everybody. See you tomorrow.